And all of our stories connect to the one story of God and God's purpose for the world in human life and in human relationships and existence. And the relationships that we have shared with Russell and Barbara over these 2 decades have been treasures beyond price. And we love you. And I'm going to turn it over to Barbara,
Okay.
who will do the introduction.
My introduction is that there's not a thing prepared for this. The only person who had written something down was our daughter Susan from Columbia, South Carolina. And then she called when she got off work for teaching this afternoon. The roads are just closing and everything. There's terrible conditions, weather conditions near Columbia, South Carolina, and she could not get here. So I'm going to use everybody and anybody in this storytelling. And because there was a lot of interest in the stories from the people from Haywood Street during Lent, I'll do some of that sort of in that style because I think people were getting interested in that. I do want to say that it was inspired by loving to get people's stories and knowing how much Russell treasured his people here at this church, and maybe there's some things, maybe there's some things that I didn't know about it that we might find out. Anyhow, it's always fun to do that. But I was inspired by that, and they just closed their series last Wednesday night. And Susan, our daughter Susan, had posted this picture arrangement on Facebook. And I thought, gosh, all the different stages of his life, that's a good prop for stories. And so it just came together, and she was so excited about it that Tim would let us have one more Wednesday night. So here we are. Now, some of the things we start with in the story circle are things like, well, we'll go back to the things on this picture. He has no idea what I'm going to do. Has he ever? Anyhow, so one of the things we might do in the story circle is tell them what is. Oh, I'm sure that some of the people in this church remember his early when he was venturing into this church. I paid a visit about what church he might be a part of. And I don't know how many were here when he leaped across the pews to save a life. So that was a very dramatic way for people to know Russell here, who's a physician turned, well, I say minister, priest, rector, whatever, deacon, he's called. Okay, so one of the things we start with is what's a typical day like for you? And I think they might be interested to know what's a typical day like right now, because these people know that you, I think everybody knows that he was diagnosed, I think, back in October with liver cancer, and we tried every kind of thing to get rid of that tumor. We went to Duke about surgery and about high-class radiation, and then decided that we would just go with what we have and make the most of it. And that's what we're doing now, but I will say we're making the most of it through Pam and say what it, well, I'll say it, and then maybe you'll say something about it later. Care Partners Hospice. So we have their help in making him comfortable, and that's, I don't know how people do without it and why they don't get it the minute they know they might need it and they can get in. But also, I'm working to give him a little strength in addition to that so that he can have more days like this one and be out. So comfort is great, and we're still building strength. 3 times today he got up and down and walked on his own. who knows what might be ahead. Okay, typical day.
You know, Tim and I were talking, and I said that I had come to an amazing truth. It's a whole lot easier to go downhill once you've gone up the hill. And I've found that several times. I've scratched my nose and bumped my head. Anyhow, the downhill side is a whole lot easier than the uphill side. There's no question about that. On the other hand, I would not have had the downhill side without the uphill side. So that's good. So, the beginning of a day now, is to be on the edge of my bed, moved up as close to the side as I can, with my walker, wherever it is, in front of me. Barbara being sure that I can get out of bed. So, it's been I wouldn't like to say a long 20 years, but it has been a long 20 years at St. Andrews. It's been a long 20 years, and longer for some of us. At St. Andrews, and I really appreciate it every day.
So what do you have for breakfast?
What do I have for breakfast? Well, mostly I have a half a bottle of Ensure. That's good. Then whatever comes to mind is for
Long naps in between.
yes, lots of naps. You are just always want to be sure that you're thankful for the things that have gone by, and you accept each day as it goes. And there's nothing you do about it. You just have to do that. I see Pam, my care partner, nodding her head. That's another thing that I got to mention. We, of course, knew about hospice and care partners and that sort of thing. And so it was no surprise when a month ago, Dr. Nard asked me, said, "Well, have you thought about hospice?" And that was a month ago. And we said, "Well, not quite yet." And he said, "Okay, well, time will come." And sure enough, it just occurred to us, we could get in on that program. And we had known Pam and called her again as a friend. We called her again as a friend and asked that she come out one Friday night 2 or 3 weeks ago and to help explain to us what hospice was like in Haywood and Buncombe County. And she did, and it's almost too good to be true. They're really trying to do everything in their power to help you. And it's not anything that they really won't do for you or get for you. And it's just a fantastic group of people who come around, each with their own little specialty and their own little bag, and help you do the things that you don't know how to do. that's been a real benefit to us.
So our days are blessed with having hospice. Our global hopper will be here, has been here for a big part of the time. And then Susan is fairly close by, so that's helped a lot. That's helped the typical days a lot. And then sometimes we go for a walk and try to keep things going. Now, any questions from anybody or comments on this part? You don't know what his typical day is like, but.
You're doing hospice at home?
Yes.
Yes.
With care. Okay.
Yeah.
Russell, where did you go to school? Where did you go to medical school?
I went to medical school at the University of Alabama in Birmingham.
Oh, I should have known that,
Yeah, we'll get to
huh? And then you went to Florida after that?
No, well, after that, before and after that, we went to the University of Minnesota hospitals to intern, and then I had then performed my duties in the Dr. Dre, so we went into the Army. And did you have to do that, Mark?
He's so much younger.
Anyhow, I had to serve my years in the Dr. Draft, and so we spent 4 years in the Army. One of the smarter things that we is always pretty Barbara and I. One of the smarter things that Barbara and I did was to agree with the medical assignment doctor in the Army that if we would stay in the Army for the 2 or 3 years, they would send us anywhere we wanted to go in Europe at their cost. So we accepted that offer and spent 3 years in Germany. And we never heard of West Berlin.
West Berlin.
Yeah.
We thought, Heidelberg or.
Yeah, right.
So we spent 3 years in West Berlin in Army housing with a bedroom for our maid and schooling for our children. And the little, what's the little bus called? The little bus that came by and picked up the children.
Picked up Russ, House Sun and Shine. I asked, how do you say kindergarten auf Deutsch? Wie sagt man kindergarten?
What year was that?
That's how cool I was.
What years were you in Germany?
We were in Berlin from 1957 to 1960.
And that brings up this part of the picture. This son.
I'd recognize him anywhere.
Was with us when we got there. This one came shortly thereafter. That's Merrill. But I'm going to back up. You had a question earlier, Sarah.
Well, I just wanted to hear the whole story of jumping across the pews to save a life.
You tell that. Well, we can do that.
Okay, well, as Tim has told us before, I came into St. Andrews with as little fanfare as possible, but I knew that you wanted to give them a little chance to see what you were like before you jump right over top of me. So I did, and then back in the mid-pews, there was a guy who had a pacemaker, and his pacemaker went kaput, and people began to yell and scream, and so I did as I was told. I jumped over the pews and ran back to see what had happened, and somebody takes and put it under his tongue. And I was gonna say little, but she wasn't really very little. Altogether, not altogether leader, but anyhow, the young lady who was working the altar that day, said, should I call 911? And he said, yes, call 911. And so she did, and within less than 2 minutes or 3 minutes, they were here. And they pulled out into the backyard and came here.
Well, it didn't sound like you, what about leaving with the
That's when we found out he was a doctor.
Okay.
And the EMT said if he hadn't have been here and done what he done, that Tom would not have made it.
Thank you.
He
That's
saved
what we
his life.
needed to hear. Thank you, thank you.
I'd like to say something else about Russell's humility. So, he hasn't done anything as dramatic as saved my life, but over many years, he has been my occasional informal financial advisor and my medical advisor. I don't know if you even remember this, Russell, but when I moved here, I couldn't get insurance, even though there was nothing really very wrong with me. And he explained to me how that worked in the insurance industry. And much more meaningful to me was when my mother had a stroke. I had no idea what to do, and Russell said, get her out of the hospital and into hospice. That was just invaluable. He's been sort of my biblical consultant. But most of all, he's humble enough to serve over many years as my paper boy. He faithfully delivers the Sunday New York Times to my front porch every week.
Wow, thanks. That was
Russell, I know the story because I've heard you tell it when we were going through your confirmation class. Could you tell how you met Barbara?
How did I meet Barbara?
And what you thought when you saw her?
Methodist, and then her family, well, my family, too strong Methodist, but her family was began to be Episcopalians. So we
kind of switched one Sunday to one and one to the other. But that, we were married then. I have something to say about
No, Russell, you
what was called a campus chest drive at the time. And so I'd seen him, but I got into those files to look through scores. They didn't have SATs, but they had what the scores were. And he had the highest. So I picked him out and I went after him. It's not a bad deal. Harvey.
After you met her and thought she was beautiful, I want to know how were you able to put up with her?
How have you put up, ooh. How have you put up with it?
I've been really, well, particularly these last several weeks, it's been well worth it.
I think we'll leave it at that. Let's see.
I wanna hear about what happened before he got to Alabama.
Yeah, we're going, I think we'll start back with this. Tell about where you grew up and what you were doing and,
Born at a very young age.
I don't know. Is it
7.
7, let's say 9. Well, anyhow, what about Magnolia Curve? And what was going on in your life as a kiddo?
I grew up in Montgomery, Alabama, on Magnolia Curve, just down the hill from the Methodist minister at the Cathedral Church, because Methodists don't have cathedrals, but we have a cathedral church. Do they have cathedral churches now?
I don't know about Methodist, but they sure do.
Anyhow, and went off to the University of Alabama as a Methodist, to figure my way, just to see how I could handle it out in the world. And
I want to go back to Magnolia Curve, because that's what it was like at your house, like on Saturday nights, or your motor scooter, or the turnip green story about Shirley don't eat them, turnip greens. Well, I mean, just something about
okay.
early childhood, anything you remember.
Oh, I have a sister younger by 1 year. The big things were just inconsequential things. But, at our house, you didn't eat turnip greens.
What do you do with them?
You threw them out the house. The maid did something with them, I don't know what. But,
One time they tried to disguise them or something
Yeah.
like that.
we ate spinach, we liked spinach, that was good. We knew that spinach looked like turnip greens, but they put hard-boiled eggs on top of them. And I was in the midst of eating turnip greens, my spinach, and all of a sudden I realized, that's not spinach. I said, Shirley, that's not spinach, that's turnip greens. And she yelled and screamed, and we all stopped eating.
And I remember something about, tell about your mom and what she did, and your dad, and you helped him, you went hunting with him but didn't much like it, and what else, about the shoe, you did something about shoes.
Oh, well, there were 2 or 3 different stories, but,
How'd you get into the shoe business, for
shoes,
goodness sakes?
okay. I grew up at the very beginning of the Second World War, and my daddy bought a couple of little shoe repair shops, and I worked at the various shoe repair shops in downtown Montgomery, and
It's come in handy, all he knows about shoes. How did you earn that scooter where you chipped your teeth? You don't have it anymore. Remember, where's Mark Elroy? Remember he fell at your house and, they fixed the tooth. When they had to fix his teeth, they fixed the one that was so charming. That was chipped, and that was from the movie.
I'd like to know about your full name.
Yeah.
well, obviously that was an old Southern family name, Caruth. My grandmother had several of those. Fletcher was the older son, Fletcher, Caruth, Guthrie.
Ruth. Can you imagine?
Okay, we can ask some other questions.
Okay. Go ahead.
I wanted to go back, Russell, just a minute because of my own fascination with this part of your story. Back to Berlin, and when you did medical duty at Spandau Prison, and you had the two infamous prisoners there that you cared for.
Okay, we're gonna jump around, folks. Here we go. This has to do with being in Berlin and what he did in his medical training.
When we got to Berlin, we were assigned to the 279th Station Hospital, and one of our jobs at the 279th Station Hospital was to take care of the inmates in Spandau Prison. Spandau Prison was under the full power care of the British, the French, the Russians, and the Americans. And we rotated duties month by month in charge of the prison. And part of our duties on our month at the prison was to take care of the four remaining prisoners. I can't always remember, but Von Schirach, Hess, Speer, and there's a fourth.
I don't think we ever remember. Did everybody get those? It was
No.
Rudolph Hess, somebody von Schirach, and
Albert Speer.
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 We don't remember the fourth one. But they changed duty every month. The Americans would be in charge of those prisoners one month, and then the Russians, and then the French, and then the British. We were all in Berlin at that time.
My job was during our month is to go out once a month and visit the four remaining prisoners. And it was very interesting in the sense that back then, in the middle of the Cold War, the language of the prison was German. Well, yeah, the language of the prison was German. And then when the Americans were in charge, we tried to make it English, but that didn't work. But when when we were in charge of the prison, when the prison was divided into four parts: the entryway, the inner way, and then the inner sanctum, as it were, and then the prison section. So when we got back to the prison section, I think it was the Americans telling to you the language was English. And I can recall in making my rounds, speaking to the patients and trying to do the best I could in German. The prisoner would say, "Oh, that's okay, Doc. The Russians are not back here." Say anything they want.
Well, did you tend to your patients only when the U.S. was in charge?
That's
Or
correct.
what did you do the other 3 quarters of the time?
fought for themselves.
But what did you do? You were at that hospital and.
Oh, what did I do the other 3 weeks?
Yes.
I worked at Tucson Light Station Hospital. General interns.
I've forgotten how you got to do this special thing with these prisoners, just because
Well, it was a,
he's got a sign?
the prerogative of the hospital commander to assign people to take care of them. My colonel assigned me, and their colonels assigned them, so.
That was pretty exciting, and I tried to make him extend for a 4th year, but he felt he had to get on with things. Pretty exciting. You say something about what you remember.
I remember there was a sign in front of the prison in 4 languages, and I remember Achtung was well, there must have been 5 languages then, because German was there too. But anyway, Achtung, and the English part said, attention, anyone on the other side of this sign will be shot. My dad was holding me on the other side. It was very good, and also I remember there was no Berlin Wall, so I was allowed by a policeman to direct traffic at the Brandenburg Gate. Photo of me waving the thing. I'm sorry, it's all about me. That's just what I remember.
Okay, if any other memories come along, we're kind of skipping around. Let's see what we want to be.
Was that before or after your rheumatology residency?
Oh, before.
Okay.
They were all just general interns. I think I remember the number. What, 11?
And we came back to Rochester, Minnesota.
Yeah.
The Mayo Clinic is where he did a residency. Okay, and then I'll just be sure we cover some of the things in the pictures. After the Mayo Clinic, Russell had to take Florida boards again because I heard about this nice clinic in Lakeland, and Lakes sounded just wonderful. He was ready to go back to Alabama. I was not. And anyhow, he did take the boards again, and we largely raised our children in Lakeland, Florida. I might let you say a few words about that too. So here we are in a swing under a 100-year-old grapefruit tree, and there's Russ with a lot of hair, and Merrill, and Susan, who couldn't be here. Anything that you remember about Lakeland or about Russell in Lakeland?
I remember something about Dad, and I was probably on the way to Lakeland, on the way to Grandma's house from Lakeland. We were in the big station. We always had these station wagons. Do you remember scenic cruisers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was so exciting because they had like windows in the roof. Anyway, it was like a spaceship, and we were small, and it was very big, and I loved it. And we had room to like romp in the back, including fight in the back. And I remember my brother and I were singing a song at each other or with each other. I don't know what, and it was a very bad song. It was eeny, meeny, miny, moe, catch us something by the toe.
Yeah.
And we used the N-word. And my dad I thought the car was going to be in an accident. He swerved over, and there was a gravel at that time. The shoulder was gravel, and there was a lot of noise and smoke. And he screeched the car to a halt, and he leaned back and faced us, and he said some very serious threat. Like, if I ever hear that word again, something horrible. So bad that I repressed it, and I never used that word again, thanks to my dad. That's one of those Atticus Finch moments. And there were a lot of them in our family.
Hey, bro, your turn.
Okay, Barbie.
Did you
Lakeland a lot while we were there. It's beautiful, it had the lakes, all this nice stuff, but I somehow had been drawn to the mountains for a long, long time. Well, I thought that was fine while we were there, but when I got to the mountains, I knew that did seem like home. And he sort of pulled a fast one on me. He had decided to switch from medicine to the ministry and was free to move around, and I was touring with the show Ivy Rowe from Lee Smith's book, Fair and Tender Ladies, and being a lot in the mountains, and I said, it's so beautiful there, come with me for the next tour. And my brother had told us about some property he had seen. It was a lot like The Sound of Music. And so we looked at that, and he called my bluff. He said, okay, we'll do it. And so we did it.
Yeah.
And I have felt at home. I know you chopped a lot of wood. What have you thought about the change?
No, it's been a good change. It's a three, one, well, more than that, 4 or 5 different venues, and all of them different. Good.
Especially St. Andrews. Okay, so now, what he was doing up until just a few months ago, hiking every morning with son Russ and his 2 dogs, and either one of you say something about the hikes.
Well, Russ and I would hike at least 3 or 4 mornings a week, literally over hill and over dale, about an hour, hour and a half. And these were not easy hikes, these were hard. I couldn't even begin to do it.
It's about that level of incline, very much up and down mountains, no flat.
Is this always the same walk? Or do you go on different paths?
Both, there are a couple of 3 walks we can go on, either downhill and then up to the cross, on the other end of the property we're allowed to be on. Or we can go to the bottom and then go around to the back end of our property and go over there. Anyhow, it's variable, but always up and downhill.
And always Dad was ahead of me, and it was very difficult to keep up with him. Even when he had cancer, it was only when they started giving him drugs to cure the cancer that things started going downhill. And so now he can't do those heavy climbs. But I remember one time I asked him, when I get older, will you take care of me? Because he was so much healthier than I was. This is only a few months ago.
wrote a song about
When I'm 64.
And he was a marathon runner.
Mhm.
Oh, say a few words.
When Russ was in mid-grade in high school, he was going to be on the high school track team. And so I went out in the mornings and ran with him and his friend to get warmed up for their exercise program. And then when they left high school, I continued to run. They quit in various stages.
Smoking pot and track don't. Dad never did. So, no, Dad never smoked pot.
Well, Russell, did you all come to the mountains as a doctor or as a minister or what?
No, as a deacon.
You had become a deacon in Florida.
Right.
Oh.
He ran the marathon in Marathon. It doesn't getting more marathon than
One
that.
of the
I
days
don't-
for the one.
That
Oh,
is
there's
from-
2 marathons in a marathon?
Marathon to Athens.
Yeah, and his heel was fine.
Hey, I remember I lived on the other side of the mountain over at Upper Crabtree. And Russell was always over the mountain and over there running and walking. We seen him when we came back and forth. We
Yeah.
always seen Russell over there.
Barbara, you've mentioned to me a couple of times about Russell's work ethic.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
Pam is, I had to mention about the, his work ethic, so the hospice people would take him real seriously. And his, work ethic was that he never missed a day of work, when he was practicing in Lakeland. And if he had an upset stomach or something, or some kind of bug, he would, throw up between patients and stay through the day.
Wash my hands.
And I think he'll probably need to, this is a long time for him to be up and,
Yeah.
talking, but it's been a great experience for him. But, so if there are any more questions about something,
Didn't I
Jan?
hear some story about you playing golf with the bishop and only one time because you beat him?
I didn't play as many times as I would have liked.
Yeah.
I think you wore them out, Russell, they didn't want to invite you.
Yeah, that's right.
Couldn't keep up with it.
Jan?
That's right.
I just wanted to say, there are probably so many times that we couldn't even begin to count, that people have gone to Russell for just a question here and there, a medical question, mostly medical probably. And he's been so gracious to, not give us medical advice, but, you know, to help us through whatever the problem was. And there've been so many of those, we couldn't even count them, I'm sure.
Thanks, Jan. Gary?
I just want to tell you what kind of deacon he is. I was raised across the street in the Baptist church, and so when I came over here, I didn't know, you know, all the things in the prayer book and all that, so I go to the foot washing for the first time. And I sat in his chair, and I was real serious, and I sat down and put my little feet out, and real humble. He started doing this to my toes. And I went, oh! And I got tickled, and then I hated to go back up the aisle, but he just got to my toes.
Tim, you didn't teach him that, did you? Nice toes.
That's a Title IV violation.
Mark?
Well, Russell has never tickled my toes. I have known Barbara and Russell ever since they moved to North Carolina.
This is Mark Hellwright, friend, and what do they call you? And what do they call you? No, intensivist or something.
Yeah.
What are you?
That.
Anyhow, he does real serious medicine. Go ahead.
But I've just been so blessed to have Barbara and Russell as part of my journey in this life. And I've learned so much from them both. Humility and kindness and just joy of life. It's just been amazing to be part of that journey. They've been through many of the most important milestones of my life with me. And while my daughter was rehearsing with Barbara to do a play together when she was 13, I very much enjoyed hiking with Russell on those same trails and
That's when
solving
you
the
solve
world's
the world's problems.
And you see what's happened since we've stopped doing it.
I have to say that Mark took us in. He had just seen Ivy Road one time. We had never met, and a mutual friend was talking about our house in Florida had sold. The one here was not ready, and so the mutual friend had called Mark to say, do you know any, like an apartment or something they could rent in Asheville? And what did you say?
I said, they can just stay at my house.
They could just stay with me. He had like a little annex there. And, we thought we'd be there just a few weeks until the house was finished. It was 6 months. So we got to be sort of a family together. And the person who came here the farthest, I have to point out, Elizabeth Grove, we just met in DC a few months ago. She lives in Baltimore, but she had come to the big American Promise meeting where they were trying to get up a movement, get the 28th Amendment, and to do away with Citizens United. And so Tom Robertson, who some of you remember, brought her to that meeting, and we met. So say something.
I actually have a question from Tom. He asked me, after I visited you on your beautiful mountain home, if you guys still have that herd of ironing boards.
Oh, yeah, that gives us a chance to get, okay, we had a herd of elk in the backyard, a mock elk, in the form of rusty ironing boards. And it was a beautiful sight to see. They were in kind of like, are they in herds? Yeah, it's kind of like a herd swooped along the backyard and around the edge of the house. About the time the elk were released in Cataloochee, we released these ironing boards from a friend who put together, I can maybe say more about that. Sarah helped us install our herd. And you had heard about those. Well, we've done away with those, and that gives us a chance to say that we will have to move from the house. And so we have demolished we've taken away, tell about the man who wanted to know about the second load of ironing boards.
Packed up 2 loads of rusty ironing boards in the pickup, and the first load, we went up to the metal recycling place, and Marilyn and I began to dump them out, and they didn't say anything. The second load. One load is okay, but what about 2 loads of ironing boards? Where did they all come from? Luckily, I was gone, and I don't know what Maryland
Yeah.
Very suspicious. And by the way, you could see them, NSA thought about it. In the back of the yard.
And I'm sorry you didn't get there in time to get a picture of our ironing boards in the backyard. It was a beautiful sight. You just have to come before anything else goes, any other treasures. But anyhow, we're getting rid of some of the treasures because we'll need to sell our house. So if anybody you know maybe wants like a vacation home, it's a beautiful spot. In the mountains, you can let us know. We'll have to be giving this up. And the reason I say as a vacation home it would be ideal is because with access in the wintertime, it's been a problem. As the people from Haywood Street know, sometimes on Wednesday, my day there, I could not get out. So I'll be honest about that. It's a problem. But it'd be just perfect with some Florida people. Okay. Good. I'm glad you have. Will you have a picture? Will you give it to me? Susan did ask if anybody has pictures or anything from this event. If somebody would send them to me by our email address is in the book, then I will forward them on to Susan. She's heartbroken over not being able to be here tonight. So feel sorry for Susan. Anything else? But we should just visit.
Well, just about your diaconal service. There's another dimension. I met Russell almost exactly 14 years ago in front of the courthouse. We were protesting
Russell said, I don't know what's going on with you. So my weird achiness would move from joint to joint and would never just locate in one place. And so we made an appointment with a rheumatologist in Asheville, and Russell came with me. And we asked my rheumatologist, if Russell could come in and sit in on the consultation. And he agreed. And so Russell sat with us in my first rheumatology consultation and has been my sounding board with my ailment over all these years. And, but far more than that, Russell, you are my rock, and my dearest friend, and my brother in Christ. And I couldn't have done this job for 22 years without you by my side. And it's the weirdest damn thing to be at the altar and set the table or read the gospel and do the stuff that is your job. And I thought Sunday with you sitting in the congregation, this is Russell's job, I shouldn't be doing that. And,
he doesn't do it right.
I have to say, dear brother, you are the fastest talking Alabamian I have ever met.
Only when they win.
It has been the highest privilege and honor of my life to serve Christ with you in this church. And I'm so
And as a
immensely grateful.
parishioner, it's amazing, a good and faithful servant.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing how wonderful he is with all of us.
Always there.
Always.
Always there.
Thanks so much to all of you for being here tonight on this. We thought maybe it was gonna have to be canceled because of the bad weather. And look at this, and what a thrill for me to have him have this thrill. Wow, wow.
Roll
Thank
Tide.
you so much. Right.